So today's very hot reading, 6.8% jump in prices from last year for the month of November, does undermine the administration's forecast that inflation and prices would return to normal sometime next year. Are you standing by that?
Well, prices are high, and we are very focused on that issue. We are focused principally on the month-to-month movements because if you compare to a year ago, we're comparing to an economy that was in shutdown. And in November, we saw some modest easing from the prior month. And if you look under the headline, about half of that was driven by energy and cars. Those are both areas where we've seen some easing in the weeks since. Notably on energy, we're seeing gas prices down a bit nationally. Natural gas prices down 25% from November. So that is something to take note of. But we here are very focused on what more we can do to try to address the price issues that Americans are facing by tackling the supply chain challenges, including at our ports, and also by moving on the legislation currently in front of Congress that would do more to actually cut costs that families are facing right now than any piece of legislation in modern American history.
Well, do you worry that this is going to set back that goal? Already, Republicans are seizing on this opportunity to say we do not need more spending injected into our economy right now, something Senator Joe Manchin, a Democrat who you need, has been sympathetic to.
Well, if what we were doing was pumping a bunch of spending into the economy, then that would be a concern. But actually, the Build Back Better plan is not that. First of all, it's fully paid for. And that means it's you think about it differently than other pieces of legislation. It's not going to add to aggregate demand. Instead, what it's going to do is reduce costs in areas like prescription drugs and child care that are central to American families' budgets, and also get more people to work, increase labor supply by helping parents, for example, cover the cost of caring for an elderly parent so that they can get back into the labor force. We are still, even though we've seen remarkable labor market improvements in this economy, we still have more than 1.5 million women who have left the labor force who haven't come back. Investing in child care, in elder care, those are the types of things that will get more people to work. And if we do it in a way that's fully paid for, we can increase labor supply without adding to inflationary pressure and really make a difference for this economy.
Brian, even granting that those effects would take place in the economy if this legislation is passed and it would moderate costs longer term in a structural way for many consumers, I don't know that anybody would forecast that it would have an effect within a matter of months, right? It's certainly not as the law would get implemented if it were passed. Is that essentially also, though, by your naming that as something that the White House can do, an admission that there isn't really terribly much the administration can do in the near term to restrain inflation unless it's somehow to try and tamp down overall economic growth?
Well, certainly I would separate the immediate term from the medium term. And the sooner that we start making investments in things that would help in the medium term, the better. I would raise an issue like housing, where we need more affordable housing supply in the U.S. Those things don't happen overnight, but the sooner we start to make those investments, the more the benefits will kick in. But in the very immediate term, we're focused on things like energy prices. And you've seen the president be focused on diplomatically working internationally with allies and partners, and domestically announcing the largest sale and exchange from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Those steps have, over the course of the last couple of months, contributed to oil prices coming down, and we're starting to see those gas price reductions at the pump. Likewise, on the supply chains, right now we are working with ports around the country. We've brought those dwell times, the amount of time that a container is sitting at the port, down by almost half over the last 6 weeks. So there are things we can do in the immediate term. We're definitely focused on those, but we're also focused on those things that will help over time. But the sooner we put those in place, the more we'll see those benefits.